So another exciting possibility with transformers is the idea of transfer learning, or sometimes called fine-tuning more commonly these days. You can take this giant large language model that you built up that understands how to speak English or whatever language you want and train it further to do something more specific or on more current data or whatever it is. There's a few ways to do this. One is you can just feed additional training data through the whole thing. So in addition to all of the text from Wikipedia and Reddit and books and whatever else you threw into it originally, you can throw more stuff into it and fine-tune the model that way. Another approach is to freeze specific layers and just retrain others, so maybe just a few layers at the top. That might be one way. For example, you could train a new tokenizer layer to learn a new language and do it that way. Or you can add a layer on top of the pre-trained model to do something more specific, and just a few layers may be all that you need. Often just a few examples, like 20 or so of what you want it to do, is all it needs to fine-tune this thing if you throw that at the top. So for example, I could have a sarcastic and kind of mean-spirited LLM and just train it with some examples, like ask it how's the weather, and it'll say, what's it to you, bucko? And it will just learn to have that tone of voice when it talks to you going forward, if you give it a few examples of how to do that. Or maybe you could adapt this thing to do something way more specific, right? For example, sentiment analysis. So if instead of generating text, I just want to take my understanding of that text and say, is this a positive, negative, or neutral sentiment? There might just be a few layers on top of my model that distills that down to the classifications that I'm interested in. And again, the possibilities here are pretty exciting. You can think of these pre-trained models as just a foundation model. That's the term we use for them. And you can build on top of that foundation model, fine-tune them for specific tasks or to know about specific information. For example, again, I could take this LLM, GPT, whatever it is, and fine-tune it using all of my past emails and my responses to those emails. And I could create a transformer that can actually play me, that can respond to emails automatically in a way that I would have responded to them. Or I can take transcripts of customer service calls and make a customer service bot. And I talked about this earlier, and again, we need to be careful in doing this. It's very tempting for companies to apply this technology, but you got to watch what they're saying, right? Because if your customers think they're talking to a real person and they're not, and that person is committing you to do something and you don't do it, it's not going to end well. So again, these tools need to be deployed with judicious care.